You're listening to iFanboy Pick of the Week, episode 1002. I'm Josh Flanagan. I'm sitting in for my co-host, Connor Kilpatrick, is Dr. Ryan Haupt.
What if this was the week I revealed that I just wasn't a doctor? Like it was all a lie. Like I just made it up the whole time.
I I would then sort of miss a time when the internet was a little different and we were a little bigger and it could be some kind of like scandal, like on,
Mm.
I mean, I don't know if we'd
We'd like
rate.
make the front page of Dig.
I don't think we'd have gotten that far, but like like we'd get to Heidi's pay, like maybe we'd make a thing there or
Yeah.
comics, whatever. What were all the I don't remember. I don't even remember what it like maybe Newsarama, maybe like a blog post on CBR or what was the one that the girl ran that was supposed to be the smart one? The website? No?
No, sorry.
Wow. Laura did it. There was a whole thing.
You lost me.
It was
I
a
mean, I am a doctor. I'm just not that kind of doctor,
No,
Josh.
I understand. That's fine. Wow. People will be like, "Oh, dude, it's this." And I was like, "That's how little respect I had for my peers." There we go. I mean, if we're like calling them peers was a stretch. Um, no, they did a different thing and I didn't want to. Welcome to iFanboy 2025. It's the 20th year of doing this show. We're looking at about say 8 weeks that I have to say that, and 25th year of doing iFanboy because iFanboy 2126 has no it doesn't work. So I guess I'll hopefully every week for 25 years one of us has picked the book they like that week, and that's from their stack. I've been ill. I'm getting better, but they pick the book they like the best from their stack of comics. We call that the pick of the week. We will talk about that comic book, other comics that came out as chosen judiciously by our keenly honed editorial senses after doing it for so many years, as previously mentioned. There'll be a patron pick where you people just pick something. Um, Listener mail. It will be a good time. Here's your spoiler warning. Exercise some caution. Ryan, you had the pick.
Excited about listener mail this particular week. But before we get to listener mail, we have to talk about the pick of the week. And this week, the pick of the week was Assorted Crisis Events number 6. And not the most recent time I was on the show, but a previous time I was on the show, my pick was Assorted Crisis Events number 5. These are the
Mhm.
only 2 issues of the series I've read. I've still not gone back and read the first 4
I'm
issues.
just upset that you didn't read the fourth one. I don't care about the others. But
This you and I were texting about this a little bit, and I got into a little bit of spoiler territory, but
mhm,
this is the second. I've read 2 issues of this series, and this is the second of 2 issues that just made me cry my eyes out.
mhm,
It's the big picture premise is it's about a husband and wife where the husband gets unstuck in time, sort of Billy Pilgrim esque, but the way it manifests is he just like wakes up different ages every day,
mhm,
and every time his wife checks on him he might be a different age again, and so like she is thrust into the role of caregiver of this person that she fell in love with as an adult, but she might walk into the room and he's old and needs assistance with the perils of aging, or like a little kid who like needs his mommy. And anyone who's dealt with someone going through dementia or Alzheimer's or any sort of memory issue, like you almost don't need the time travel element of this
mhm,
book. It's so fucking heartbreaking. It's so sad. Um, I feel like anyone who's had a loved one go through that, or anyone who's had like a difficult time in a relationship and come out the other side to a new understanding where there's multiple people in this world who are dealing with this condition, and so she's considering putting him in a home for people with this condition, and then at the end of the day she decides not to, because at the end of the day there are no good days and bad days, there are just days. And that broke me as a person. I was just so touched and moved by that um idea. I should credit the creative team. Story by Dennis Camp, art by Eric Zawadzki, colors by Jordy Blair, and letters by Hassan Otsmane Hoy, and published by Image Comics. Um, it just this whole issue just crushed me from start to finish. I knew the second I started reading it, I knew what the themes were going to be. The way that this book continually plays with the comic format, with like the drawing the clock, the drawing for folks who don't know, when a person with Alzheimer's or dementia is asked to draw a clock, they often can't do it. They can't, their brain no longer can process the 12-point system that a clock represents, so they get it wrong, even if they're mentally seemingly okay otherwise. So that's, that sort of rotational panel structure with puzzles and board games and memory games and all that. Yeah, it destroyed me. I was crying throughout, tearing up throughout, and then just fully crying by the end of the issue. And it's partly where I'm at in my life and my relationships with my partners and family and all that, but also just I think this is an incredibly well done comic and deserves to be discussed and praised. And it's the book, in terms of like why it's the pick, it's the book that I want to literally go to other people in my life and be like, you should read this. Like, it's going to be on my, if there's a trade by Christmas, I'm going to be giving this out to people.
Mm. So you're not wrong about anything. It's very good. It's very well done. It is absolutely a new take on something that we've seen a lot. There are a couple of things that I don't like to read. I really have a hard time with very special episodes that pertain to Alzheimer's, because I know how bad it is already, and it's not something that I need dramatized. And so there's an episode of The West Wing, which is my favorite show, where CJ goes back and her dad is suffering from dementia, and she has to take care of him and go through the whole thing, and I can't watch it. Like, I hate it. Like, and it's not a bad thing. It's subjective, but I just feel like the lesson of it is to tell you, like, this is really hard for people and it's really bad. And I'm like, dude, I know. Like, I don't need to experience it. There's a lot of things where, like, you've gone through certain things in your life and you don't, you just, like, I don't need to experience it. I don't need to be, I have nothing left to learn from the experience. And so it was difficult for me to read this, in that sense. So I was like, I get at the same time be like, this is really, really well done. And it's a take on it that I have never sort of seen before. I thought, as always, the layouts in this book are fantastic. The characterization, I don't know who this Dennis Camp is because I've read his mainstream books and they're not the same. But at the, like, I struggled. Like, I kind of was like, I don't want to read this. I really, it's a me thing.
I think
'Cause I've
the thing that hit me in the feels with this issue at this time, like specific to where I'm at in my life, my relationships,
Mhm.
my family, is the idea that how when you're in a relationship with other people, how the who's helping who can flip on a dime. Where, like, if you're having a good day, I can be the guy who screws in the light bulb. I can be the guy who cooks dinner. I can be the guy who sweeps the floors. And if I'm having a bad day, I'm a puddle and I need the other person in the relationship to, like, do all the work
Mhm.
and take care of me. And that to me just it felt so true and so honest to how adult relationships work, where we are constantly, like, fluctuating between periods of um adequacy, periods of competency, and then periods of inadequacy and periods of incompetence, and periods of just needing help and to be held. And, like, to juxtapose that with the tale of Alzheimer's, but also, like, this relationship that was like a romantic loving relationship that transitions to this, like, caregiver relationship.
Mhm.
Oh, like, yeah, in terms of, I'm not saying I enjoyed
No,
how it
yeah,
made me
no.
feel, but, like, it made me feel more than any book made me feel this week in a way that was really powerful.
Probably any other for some time.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's all valid. There's also shades of it, that caregiver thing. Um, it's just difficult for me for a bunch of reasons. I mean, like, yeah, it's a bit much. So it's hard for me to give you a read on it other than I guess it was really well done. I know it was. I'm smart enough to sort of understand that, but also I was like, I'm never going to read this one again. Um,
I had trouble even flipping through it to remind myself what to talk about for this segment. Like I read it and I felt everything that I felt, and I was like, shit. Like I think this is the pick because it was
Mhm.
the most impactful book that I
Mhm.
read this week. But I don't even want to go look at these panels again because it's too raw, it's too much, and I want to like be separate from it. But I couldn't deny that it was the best book I read this week.
Mhm. I do have like this thing in my head with these kinds of stories, and I think that they're valid, but I'm a little bit like, who doesn't know this by now? And again, it's totally like to fit this into the time slippage. And I mean, time travel stories are my favorite kind of stories, and sort of discuss like sort of, well, what do these things mean where you're losing your foothold in the temporal world that you were in? Like, it's great. It is like it tickles the part of my brain, that really I'm just fascinated by it, by the idea of physics, like time, like when you flip time travel from being a thing that was a thing when we grew up that was just as like sci-fi as um vampirism or something else, and when you talk about time, and I'm saying time travel because that's the phrase, but just temporal, uh, words for this that I'm not thinking of, but like the idea that it actually is science based, it's physics,
Mm-hmm.
it's the fourth dimension, it's whatever it is that you're talking about, the fact that that's a real thing. We haven't quite figured it out, but we understand that it's there. I find it completely fascinating, that sort of
Yeah,
being
there's
between
like
real and make believe.
one Russian cosmonaut who spent enough time on Mir, the Russian space station, moving at a high speed around Earth
Hmm.
that relativistically he's like part of a second ahead of the rest of us.
Hmm.
Right? Like that shit is crazy, right? Like that's real. That happened.
Yes, when
Um
I like grasped relativity for the first time, and for me, I think it was probably
you were working in the
the
patent office in Bern
yeah,
and you
yeah,
were riding the
exactly.
train
And I
and
was wearing my sweater, and I'd just been done with a bike
playing
ride.
your violin.
Sure. No, it was when I read the Ender's Game, not the Ender's books. Was it Ender? Or was it the Bean books? Well, either way, I was super into those before that guy was a huge homophobe, and I said, "Fuck it," I couldn't read them anymore. But there's a bit where like they have to travel through space, and when they get there, they're much younger than other people, and their parents got old, and the fact that that's real, like there's real,
If we could pull it
provable,
off, if we could actually
could
move at
right,
those speeds.
but we know I mean, we know
But the
within
math is the math. Yeah.
right, and I think that is still crazy to me. It's crazy, but it's real. So it's like real magic in a way that exists. That's the closest thing it is. So that's why I always find myself totally fascinated by it. So this whole series has been an absolute delight. I think Connor had said something about it's ongoing now, which is pretty amazing. Um yeah. So there is your pick. Let's move along to some other things to talk about. Next up we have DC KO Night, isn't it Knightfight? It's Knightfight. Yes. For some reason
Night fight.
I read it Knightfight, and then I was looking at it, I was like, well, I'm not wrong. I'm not correct here. So that's probably correct. We got
Yeah. We'll talk.
this
I
is
mean,
the
talk about like a punch to the heart to just going from that to like just a whole bunch of fun. I know the cover makes it look like it's a disaster, but I thought this was a delight.
yes. And at this exact moment is when I was like, what did happen in this book?
I had to go
Um
back. I had to go back and reread an issue that I missed from previous week to catch up on everything. But
I I can't tell if this is the first. I feel like it was another one from the KO. Maybe not though. Um, I don't fully understand this, and I say that in terms of, so like Batman basically gets himself knocked out of the tournament to decide who is the champion, who will get to
but
defeat Darkseid and
he
remake
put
the
some sort
world.
of mother box teleporter in his suit to help him.
He
Like
cheated.
if he got knocked out, he would teleport
Mhm.
away. I mean, this is going to come as no shock to anyone watching the video feed. I have a soft spot for gray streaked Dick Grayson. So anytime we see old Dick Grayson with some gray at the temples, I'm like, yeah, man, I get it. I'm with you.
Well, and like to just finish, like, is that I don't really understand what happened, but also I didn't care. It's Batman shows up in Bruce Wayne shows up in a an alternate timeline, I guess, or a future that may or may not be. And everybody knows him, and he knows who everybody is, but a lot of stuff has happened, and Dick is Batman now, and the and
Do I need to
it's
point
Empire.
out that my dad's name is Bruce? Is that relevant at all here?
I mean, that's up to you. And at the end, it's a like an Empire Strikes Back, but you killed them, and so
Well,
I
I love any issue where Bruce has to fight Dick. It especially when I mean, this is not the first time like Dick has assumed the mantle of the Bat, and then they've had to fight over it. And Joshua Williamson's a very good writer when it comes to this kind of stuff. I
yeah.
love it when Bruce is analyzing the fight as it's happening, and he's contemplating how is Dick getting the getting the upper hand on me. How is he this good, even though I trained him? I love like the juxtaposition of those two characters. Of Bruce still has to be the best because that's just the rule, but I love seeing a scenario where Dick has a chance to show that he's just as good, if not maybe slightly better in some ways than Bruce.
I also really liked that Bruce like kind of took it in stride. Like he's seeing that it's going on. He's like, all right. And Dick's like yelling at him, like, what you and at a certain point, you're like, when's he gonna why isn't he fighting back and saying, no, I just got here. I don't know what this is. Because Dick's gonna be like, yeah, I get that. I've been in this game for a while. That's a thing, but he's sort of letting it roll. Which is interesting. I hope that that's a choice that was made on purpose and that will pay off, as opposed to just saying, I used to have this problem. I always call this the Wonder Year problem, and I haven't seen it forever, so now I don't remember if it's a real thing, but somebody would get mad at Kevin Arnold, and he would never say or explain why that thing happened. He'd just be like, I don't know. And he used to drive me crazy. I was just like, take yourself out here, buddy. He would just, it would just be this thing that TV characters, and I think real people actually do this when they're put under constraint, but I was always just like, just tell him what happened. Your reactions were reasonable in that way, and he doesn't do that here, but I'm hoping that that's just
Yeah, that was always
but it's mature because he's not feeling the defensive need to be like, no, it's not this, I love you, which is what I would do.
That was always my issue with Lost, where I'm just like, if they just had a conference at the end of every episode where they just handed around the conch shell and said, "Here's what weird thing happened to me on the island today." Like if they just all explained their weirdness every single day at the end of the day around the fire, so many of the issues would have been avoided.
Yep. Yeah.
No, but this is a great issue. I really enjoyed this, and it made me super I wasn't super into this event leading up to this issue, but this issue actually made me excited for the event because I'm like, oh, this is the style and tone of the event where we get like cool one-on-one fights with iconic characters. Like I'm in. This is great.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that first issue. I like that. I was like, oh, we're doing this. Fine, let's do that. To me, that's so much more fun than whatever crisis that I don't fully understand by the end of it, and then everything's different. So yeah, I'm cool with it.
You're tired of Assorted Crisis Events?
Yeah, or whatever the last one was. I didn't get it, and I didn't care. So it's like, just tell me, because it's always, to me, it always feels like it's a way to make a convoluted explanation of why they have ended up at the next version of how this universe is, and I don't care, because that's not, to me, a story. That's an explanation, and it's not, and it's usually not interesting. But that's me. Other people really like that stuff. So while you're trying to figure out what it is that you like, we will be right back. Which brings us to the next book in our retinue, in our cavalcade. So I was on the fence about Alien versus Captain America #1. Somewhat because of their creative team. But at the last minute, I'd sort of finished my books, and I was like, all right, I will give this a shot. And then I see that you put it here on the list today. This was your selection. So I will tell you, I was pleasantly surprised. And
I thought it was really good.
It was very, very good.
I really like World War II, but aliens. I love any. I mean, I feel like you and I both have an affinity for it's World War II. Hitler and his cronies are going after X artifact or
Mhm.
X relic, right? And so this takes that story and makes it about the xenomorphs. And I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, fuck it. Who cares? Why not? Let's do it. It was
Well,
good.
I think in the other thing is that I mean, we've seen aliens in the current Marvel universe for a little while now. In and out. There was that great Avengers versus Aliens thing with Jonathan Hickman. Um, and I just wasn't expecting this. I was like, oh, we're doing like a World War II era cap. I was like, that's so much more fun than what I just thought I'm gonna see a lesser version of something I'd already seen that I don't need to. But instead, you're putting them with the Howling Commandos. You're making the villains, the mustache twirling Baron von Strucker and Zemo and Red Skull. I don't know if both Zemo and von Strucker were in it. Von Strucker was in it.
Definitely Von Strucker.
Yeah. Um, this is the same thing that Hellboy did. This is the same thing that it was the Thor movie, no, like Captain America movie, and Thor did it too because they took the Nazis came and took the Tesseract at the
Tesseract,
beginning.
yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Like you can keep telling like what did Hitler have this time that we have to beat? The Ark of the Covenant. It's a pretty good template.
And
And as long
Stefano
as
Rafale drew one of the creepiest versions of the Red Skull I've seen in a while.
I noticed that they were all I thought very movie based, and even
Very movie based, yes.
the dialogue from the Red Skull, I was like, I can hear Hugo Weaving saying these things. It was just, and I don't think it's a bad thing or not. In fact, it sort of it put it in a place for me. I was like, okay, now I sort of get where we're going, and because it's Elseworlds or whatever, whatever, it's not continuity. I was like, whatever you want to do, cool, go for it. Because how can you make World War II worse? Xenomorphs. There's no way
Yeah.
around it.
Yeah. Real thunder
No, but
thighs on
it
Captain
was
America on that final panel.
yeah. I love when they draw Captain America like that. To me, that's what he looks like. Um, like, did you go through how to draw I'm sorry, how to draw comics the Marvel way phase?
I didn't go through the original, like, is it John Buscema, the original version
Yep.
of it? There
Yep.
was a version in the 90s that was like, it had trace paper on it. It was spiral
Hmm.
bound.
Oh, okay.
And I had multiple copies of that I worked through
Mhm.
multiple times to learn. But it was similar in like it broke down the ovoids
Yeah.
and the face proportions and all that.
So there's a part of it that still sticks with me and I always remember, and it was like two drawings. One is just like a pretty good drawing of Captain America. Nothing. If you were to look at it and not look at it, you'd be like, "Yeah, that's pretty good." And then next to it, he'd draw like the Marvel way version, the good John Buscema one, and he was just bigger, and he had weight, and he had presence on the page. Remember when I'm going really far afield with this metaphor, but when it still happens sometimes when CGI was new, everything seemed to float a
Yes.
millimeter above the ground and nothing had weight. That's what the drawing showed me.
There's no contact. Yeah.
Yeah, so like that, and it was just like, oh, and it's just like a matter of showing him seeming heavier, moving the angle a little bit, changing the posture, all these little tiny things that to this day, like when I was 8 when I read that for the first time, when I see John Buscema, I'm like, there it is, I see it, it's genius, and it still helps me appreciate comic book art today. So my point is, like, I didn't actually notice that on the cover, but I like that. I like that he's weighty, especially he's a young man. Then he would have all the muscle mass. I don't know how his metabolism works in being 100 years old, but there you go.
Give it time.
Yeah, it's happening. So over in the Imperial storyline area, which I guess is happening and affecting everything, but is still cloistered off to the side. We have another special, Planet She-Hulk #1. There was some book where we'd spent time with She-Hulk on Sakaar? No. What is it?
Yes,
What's the
Cigar. Yep.
Oh, it is. Okay. So Scar's the guy and Sakaar is the place. And
Scar
basically
is the sun, Sakaar is the planet.
right. Basically she just wants to leave. And she has been put on this job of taking care of the place for much longer than she wanted to. And I'm going to tell you, I thought I don't want to read this. Partially because I'd finished Imperial and I was like, we're stuck here or whatever. And then I said, oh, well, I like Stephanie Phillips. I like Aaron Cooter. And I found it to be quite delightful. I really enjoyed this little story.
I mean, I took issue with like you take Hulk at his word. Like, who takes Hulk at his word? Who, you know, when the Hulk says you have my word, like your
That's your
word is
cousin.
garbage. Yeah, but come on, come on.
Well,
His word is. I don't know.
but
The only
but also
I
she's a
like
responsible
this.
person.
I liked this issue a lot. The only thing I didn't like about it was it seems like every couple of pages they had to like have some dialogue or even internal monologue to remind you that like She-Hulk is hot. And I was just like, really? Do we need to like keep emphasizing this point? Like that she's got like, oh, nothing my firm butt can't handle. I'm just like, really? Do we need to like keep emphasizing this point that she's like an attractive large woman? Like I don't it was that was the only part of it where I was just like, is this that important to the character that we have to keep emphasizing it over and over again?
I noticed that, but I I can't say it bothered me so much because to me, the other thing I would say is that this felt in line with Rainbow Roll's version of the character. I was like, this feels like I'm reading the same character that was there,
It did.
and
It was consistent. Yes.
she's I mean, like to me, it was a little bit of speaking in response to the situation which she is in. Like she's like, I am a nice, pretty lawyer. Why am I dealing with it? It's really like a heavy is the head that wears the crown. I don't want to do all this stuff, but I have to. One thing after another. Like just it was a frustrating thing to read on her part, but sort of enjoyable because she's like a good person, but how much can she take? And the place that she was felt extremely frustrating to me. I was like, I wouldn't be able to do this. This is driving me crazy. All the people are fighting for no reason. You've gone to the wedding. So, but yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm not gonna fight back on you there. There's a point to it, but
It's a minor
a minor.
nitpick. Like
Yeah.
it didn't take me out of the issue. I
Mhm.
still really enjoyed the issue. I thought, you know, I think Aaron Cooter's great. I think Stephanie Phillips is great. Um, I like the premise here. I like the idea of
Mhm.
She-Hulk taking over as the, you know, Imperium of Sakaar. So it was a minor nitpick. Other than that, I really enjoyed the issue.
I really enjoy and I think it's just a matter like this wasn't brilliant. Like if you'd be like, what's the story or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's like I just like spending time with this character, and I think that they've got a real lock on her right now, between Rainbow Roll and between the TV show. Like, she's just a good and this character is more self-possessed than the one in the TV show. Where the thing is like there's all these tough animals and she's have to fight and creatures and people, she's got to fight this gigantic monster or whatever. And at no point is she like, I don't know if I can do this. It's just like, all right, same shit, different day. Like, and it's fun to have a character who's just like, I'm not worried about that stuff. It's just leave me alone for a little while. Can I just take a bath? Um, just I don't know. Somebody's going through some parenting shit or something. I don't really know.
It
That could be the thing.
it was a very large bathtub.
Yeah. All right. So let's take another quick break and we will be back with just this endless amount of comics. It's not really that bad this week. All right, friends, welcome back home. It's my home. We're literally in my home, so well I am, but you can see it. I don't know what I'm talking about. Huck, Big Bad World #6. Are you reading any of this?
No, I dropped off of
Okay.
Huck during one of the original series of it.
Yeah.
So
Decade ago, whatever. Which is totally fine. Connor and I have really been enjoying this series, and it's like the story of a bunch of people who get superpowers. We don't know why, and Huck is the sort of simplistic one good man. He has to do the right thing. It's almost a Superman thing. He can find anybody if he just knows their name or has something that they've touched. He can find them, and just too
he
sweet
like
for the
has a
world. But
sense
he's
of who he needs to go help.
yeah,
Yeah.
but also he can find things or people. Like if he just has like a minute amount of information, he will find them. Not like Liam Neeson. It is a specific set of skills. Anyway,
All
a
of us
couple
have a specific set of skills.
a couple of
Fun.
issues ago, the bad guys who are like the system, the government, the people in power, the Illuminati, whatever it is, they killed all the people with powers except Huck and I think one other person, and he goes to make them pay. And man, this was a wrapping things up issue in like the biggest possible way. is that he finds the main bad guy, and then they convince him to the you find. I'm gonna spoil everything because I don't know another way to, and I was not happy. I was not happy with
Mm.
this ending. I thought it was a bit too much like, oh, we're done. Here's all this. Like, it turns out that the witch you'd been giving everybody their powers was some sort of avatar of the earth itself. And so they give the main bad guy the powers. So instead of killing him or stopping him, he can see what it is. And so he turns on his masters. And then it turns out the other one who was alive the whole time, they're like, all she can do is bring back animals from the dead. And I was like, she's resurrecting all the dead people that they love. And that is what happened. And I was like, really? I don't know. It was just too. I remember it because we were like, well, I think these are all like 3 issues, and then it got to like 5, and I was like, I guess this is gonna go 6, but I thought maybe it'll keep going because we were not in a position to turn it all off, but we did, and like, it's good, it was fine, but it was just like, all right, everybody, we got to wrap this up. Shut the lights out. Let's go.
That's too bad.
Yeah, yeah. What are you gonna do? Amazing Spider-Man number 979, which you will see with your eyes here in a moment.
I had a specific
this?
question for you. I am. Yeah, we
Okay.
talked. There was a discussion a couple of weeks ago when I was on the show where like, what's the one book you'll keep reading? And it was Amazing Spider-Man. I admittedly there's a gap in the issues on this run where I missed out some things, but I did the Josh thing, and I was like, I'm just going to jump in and start reading this where I left off and see where I can pick up on it. And it's been great.
You need to read 11, 13, and 15.
Right. Actually, I read 14 before reading this issue this week.
Even numbers right now, we can just let them go.
I liked 14 a lot.
Okay, that's fine.
And I think I liked it better than this. But
okay,
my question for you is,
wow.
Well, I like Ed McGuinness a lot. Like, the Ed McGuinness art is very good, even if I'm not as into the story. Do you know what T-posing is? Did you get that joke? Okay.
No.
So there's a moment where, like, the whole point of this issue is, as written by Joe Kelly, is that Spider-Man is wearing it's that X-Men race of synthoids, technoids, artificial people. He's wearing one of those as his suit, and he realizes it, and it was gifted to him, and he doesn't like it, and so he sets it to reboot. And there's a page, I believe it is page 12 on your digital reader, where he T-poses, where he says, oh, that's cool, I'm T-posing, crap. So T-posing is a thing in video game programming where the default pose for any character is for them just to have their feet straight down and their arms straight out so that the designers can see the most angle of the person as they rotate it. So anytime a character like reverts to their default pose where they're like not in control of themselves anymore, it's called a T-pose. So when he reboots the synthezoid that's controlling his suit, he T-poses, and I thought that was very funny. And I was curious to see if anyone else got that joke.
No idea. What I like about this is I just love that it's the rare sort of, it's kind of like the full reboot, like without really, we'd spent like so long doing the same thing in Spider-Man, and then he gets in a fight with some guy in the park and he gets the shit beat out of him. And then the next issue we see Peter Parker, he's in space and he's put together a team, and it's really weird and interesting, and the guy who he was friends with was torturing and experimenting on them, but now he's on the team too, and he's got this really interesting dynamic with Rocket Raccoon, and this is the best Rocket Raccoon I have read in years, just in terms of like being like, oh, that's a character who is unique and who I recognize. And there's all these moral questions all these moral questions on Earth that they have trod to death, and they're having a hard time figuring out what else to do about what is right and what is wrong. But we've taken it and we've put it in space, and it's this other thing. But also, there's another side to it, is that Spider-Man still needs to get really strong because he's incredibly traumatized by the big fight he got in. And so he's working with the bad guy. He's working with Space Mangala. And it's really like, I don't know, like I feel like it's just really well it's all interacting with itself in different ways that are interesting, and it's just all these different tendrils of things that are interesting as I look at the cover, which has a tendril sort of situation.
I enjoy Rocket complaining about all the Peters from Earth that he has to deal with. Like
Mhm.
that's amusing. And then like he hooks up with Raylith the Wretched at the end
Right.
of
Then
the
there's
issue.
there's yeah, then there's space romance because and I think we compared this a little to Batman Off-World, in a way, and this is sort of like that, but in a way that is very Spider-Man. And so it's like, and he starts making there's a thing where she's like, "Is that okay?" And he's like, "I'm not going to complain." Whatever,
Well,
it was a good
she said
line.
I didn't have permission. He said you have permission if you want.
Yeah, I liked that line, and I was like, "Oh, he's not with anybody. There's no reason this can't happen." And it was one of the first times is like this is not one of the first times you're like, okay, there's no Mary Jane. They packed her off with a imaginary family or whatever it was, I forget. And then there was this sort of weird relationship with his Earth girlfriend who we're like, why are you still dating him?
Yeah, like
But
he's a terrible boyfriend.
he's out in space now, and like it doesn't matter. Like all like, and he's like fully on his own, and instead of being always feeling guilty about what he's not doing on Earth or in New York, he is off just gallivanting around and trying to solve his own problem while doing the right thing.
Well, the thing I liked about this issue in terms of Peter's attitude is rather than just self-flagellating about how he's not holding up his end of the bargain in New
Mhm.
York or on Earth, he's talking about how like when he ends up in these situations, he gets comfortable in them really quickly.
I
And I was
thought that
like,
was interesting.
that was really interesting. And I was like,
Yeah.
it feels true to the character. Like this is a guy who's adaptable. Like he
Mhm.
can mold himself to situations, and for him to have some self-reflection on that and not just be like, I'm so guilty that I'm not home. Like it was good. It was really, I thought it was good character work that uh moved him to a different place where he's not, he's not the same sad sack that we're used to in New York, but is doing something different in space, and okay with it. He's okay with the amount of time that he needs to spend in space doing this
Mhm.
thing, and that
And it doesn't feel incorrect. It doesn't feel like who's this guy? It feels like it's
no.
this guy. Stella is getting her groove back here. Is what's going on, I think. And I like that a lot because we have been dealing with super guilty, you know, since Nick Spencer. Like too much feeling and like all this stuff. So it's been good. I have no desire for him to come back to Earth for a while, for sure. But here is my desire that you all need to know about. And we're gonna go through these. I don't know where the things are that I'm supposed to do this. Okay, here we go. So this show is brought to you by patrons. So you can go to patreon.com/ifanboy. We are listener supported. You can directly support the show, become a part of some awesome communities on Discord and Facebook. Discord is a different thing that you would do in Uno or poker or any of the other games played with cards. Many board games as well. You can vote on the Patron Pick. You can get a Patron Power live on the show. You can join the monthly Patron Hangout at $10 or higher. You get an ad-free version of this show, and you'll get that a day early on Saturday as a patron. Pretty great. You will also get access to the iFanboy after shows on Sundays, which is after we do this, we record a little bit here. We talk about the books that did not make this rundown. That's the ones that escaped our editorial confines, our fine honed skill for sort of making sure we had something worth talking about. That's where we'll talk about things that we did not think were worth talking about. That's not a good sales pitch. There's a discount if you sign up for an entire year, and you can now send or receive gift memberships. That's over at patreon.com/ifanboy. You can find it all there. ifanboy.threadless.com is a thing that I will click on for the people who can see while I also talk about it. I'm not used to doing this many things at once, but it's going well, and I'm going to let you in behind the curtain. That's how we do. We fourth wall it. That's our merch store. There are 23 designs. They are on t-shirts and I was gonna say wallets. I don't know that, but I'm almost positive there's a wallet. That feels like a thing they'd have, a wallet. I don't think they have a spatula that you could brand with us,
You're
but
making this take so much longer.
no, you're not wrong. Over there, it doesn't take a long time is ifanboy.com/support. This is a PayPal link. You don't want to deal with any of that stuff. That's there. You can go to ifanboy.com/Amazon. There is an affiliate link. If you're buying stuff on Amazon, you're shopping for Christmas, you're do whatever it is, Thanksgiving or birthdays that happen to be in the middle of there, or just because you want some stuff, go there. ifanboy.com/Amazon, and that helps us out. Bookshop.org is a independent bookstore aggregator, and where we will put up a link for the things that we talk about on our website there. And when you order books, they will come from independent bookstores, which are wonderful, wonderful things. And with that, I don't actually know how to get rid of this now that I was thinking about it. But let's move along to talking about more comics. Should we do that?
Star Wars Corner.
Okay, Star Wars Corner. That's right. So we are going to go like this, and then we're going to go like that. And are you reading this? I have to ask you on all these. I don't remember.
I am not.
Oh, I think you should.
Okay.
I think just because you had read. I mean, listen, it's 10 issues in. If you never get to it, I'm not going to be like, oh, you really good. But for whatever reason, this is Charles Soule and Luke Ross. You will recognize that team from Star Wars and Vader over the years. And for whatever reason, man, the Darth Vader books were great because they were just so like elemental. You just put this character in the middle, can't make any facial expressions, and shit goes on around him. He's like, "Ugh," and then he blows everything up, and you move to the next thing. And so this is the story of Kylo Ren trying to, or Ben Solo, trying to reconcile himself with his grandfather Vader, to prove, well, I'm badass like him too. But he's so fucked up and broken and annoying and stupid. But he's also very competent at killing things. And this one's actually largely a like a hallucination as he goes into. You can see it on the cover there. He's in Vader's egg from Empire Strikes Back, and
so I probably told you this before. Brief aside. Adam Driver, right before playing Kylo Ren, did a biopic of someone that my wife is friends with. So, the movie previous to Force Awakens that we had seen Adam Driver in he was playing a friend of ours. And so when we were in the
one
theater,
with the government guy with the information, I forget.
No, it's the one. He plays a National Geographic photographer photographing a woman who's crossing the outback with camels.
I've never heard of that.
It's called Tracks.
Was he the lead? Is he the lead in that movie?
The female actress is the lead. He's the supporting actor. He's playing the photographer who's tracking her on her quest across the outback. But what that meant was when we were in the theater watching Force Awakens, and there's that scene where he's torturing Rey and he takes his helmet off and reveals himself to be Ben Solo. Julie just started laughing like in the theater because like it's our buddy, it's Rick.
And does he remind you of your friend? Because he's one of the most unique faces and voices I've ever seen and heard in my life.
He put on a good bit of mass to play Kylo Ren, so like he wasn't as bulky when he played Rick in the Tracks movie. This was like the girls era of Adam Driver, but like the face was still like the face of our friend.
Sure.
And then like we had dinner with Rick like a month after that movie came out, and all I wanted to do was like just grab Rick and be like, "You killed Han Solo! How dare you!" But that's my experience with Kylo Ren, is struggling because he has the same face as a friend of mine.
A story a decade in the making is brought to you now. Let us go to the thing that happens, which is the patron pick. Wait, what's this? I don't want to talk about that.
That's not the patron pick. I'm not.
That's
really
not the patron pick. So I'm going to go over here, but we can talk these are the books that we wanted to talk about, and so those are
every week the patrons get to pick a book that we talk about in the rundown. I'm trying to cover for you so you can pull up the whatever.
$5 or higher.
$5 a month or higher get to vote on the patron pick, and this week the patron pick was JSA number 13, story by Jeff Lemire, art by Gavin Goudry, colors by Luis Guerrero, letters by Steve Wands, and that's the cover because that's how the show works. I thought I'm just going to dive right in. I thought this was a great issue. I love that it's just fully set in 1940. I love that it wasn't trying to like connect timelines with the Justice League or whatever. Like it's just 1940s era JSA. It's our man running around taking his pills, setting a stopwatch. Like I thought it was great.
Yeah, I haven't been reading any of this JSA stuff. I know that Connor's
I
had
think you could jump in on this
very
issue and not have
yeah, I
missed
did.
anything. Yeah.
That is what happened here. Um, I thought it was good, but I didn't feel terribly connected to it, would be my thing. Is that I feel like this is exactly what, like, if Connor was here, I think he's over the moon. This is what he's been waiting for all along. I think that the Gavin Guidry art was absolutely perfect for what the thing is. It it's this, I was gonna say cartoonish, like it's a very
I don't know what else you could want from a JSA book. Like it's
yeah,
got
yeah, yeah.
like it's again, it's 1940s. It's
Mhm,
Carter Hall and Shire going on an archaeological expedition with a map from Kent Nelson. It's Rex Mason running into Wesley Dodds, so it's like Hourman and Sandman teaming up, which is what the cover shows.
mhm.
It's it's Green Lantern, Alan Scott. I think they're leaning into him being closeted in the 1940s a little too much. Like we get it, he's gay, like whatever.
Mhm.
I'm like I have no problem with that as a person in 2025. I don't think we need to make it like this scandalous moment in every single issue that he appears in. And then it's got like Adam Smasher punching a bunch of Nazis. Like 10 out of 10. What's not to love?
No, it is 100% exactly what a person who wants this book would want.
I want this
As
book.
I No, and that's good. As I read through it, I was like, yeah, I feel like I've read this before. Not this. Just like I was like, I get it. I don't know that I don't know
And
what I want.
I
Maybe
see
I've read
that.
this.
I see that, but I felt like this wasn't trying too hard to be
Yeah,
place setting. Or to me, the thing that I
it was.
appreciated about this book was like it's not trying to connect to the outside world. It's
Mhm.
this is the world, let's have an adventure in it. And to me, that's what's been lacking for the JSA, because it's all been about like time travel and realities fading in and out of existence and what's the timeline. And like I just want golden age stories with these characters. And
and
this
and I think that that is correct, and it's great. And I think maybe it will. Maybe I'll want more. I think that the murder mystery at the end basically this is right a this is a murder mystery. There's Nazis. We don't know who did the killing. Um, if that's a good story, if it goes and it's really good, and it is exactly just this thing, and it is just it's unique enough to not make it feel like it's just giving you the template and the map of this kind of really basic thing that is going to make a lot of people happy because it's what they've been waiting for. But I feel like I want a little something more to hook me. Um, but I'm just kind of also not. I don't know. I don't feel like I want it right now. Nothing wrong with it. It's not a criticism in any way. It seems
I
to be that
just
thing.
I
Here's my
wish
one.
there was a pill that I could take where I was expected to have 1 hour of productivity, and then I was just allowed to take a break because everyone understood my powers were gone. I'm done.
I mean, it's basically how I work.
That's basically how
Um,
coffee works.
yeah, which does not affect me. It would be great if it did. I've heard from other
Ooh,
people.
I like the idea that you're Rex Mason's biggest villain. You're the anti-Hour Man because the
Yeah.
Hour Man pill doesn't work on
Well,
you.
I will waste 7 hours in a day and then do everything in that 1 hour and do it great, by the way.
High
That's
level, detail oriented.
yeah, but that's just because I need the stress to give me the dopamine to start something. So that's fun. Um, I here's my one little niggling complaint is that all the adult males look kind of the same and they're in their suits and they all kind of had the same haircut and there were color variations here and there, and when there were two characters on a page, like, I could tell who they were, but sometimes as we flipped around, you see several guys in suits. I'm like, wait, am I supposed to know who this is? But that's minor. I really like the cartooning. It's very Steve Lieber like, I
Johnny
think.
Thunder looked like a. I mean, he looked like Jimmy Olsen, but looked like a
Yeah.
pipsqueak.
Yeah, no, and I get that. As I said, with those two characters on the page, but sort of as I moved around, like, I was like, am I supposed to recognize this guy that Alan Scott's with? But I didn't read that other
I
series,
mean, to
so
me,
maybe that's what it
the
was.
biggest faux pas of this is there's no like maybe we'll get there, but there's no Jay Garrick, there's no Starman.
Hmm.
Like, give me, I just want more. I just
I
want
don't think that's
more.
yeah, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think keeping it contained for now is probably good. You can build it, add it later, and I think what a lot of people do, and Jeff Lemire's fucking veteran pro at this point, like, he doesn't need to use every piece. You know, he doesn't have to prove himself to be like, you know, he's like, I'll take
Just
these
getting
pieces and do a
old
story.
school Wesley Dodds Sandman with the full suit, gas mask, fedora, cape, and and smoke
Yep.
gun. Like, oh, it's so good.
hmm
Just look at that cover.
So if I say to you, like, this is a book that looks like it was drawn by Steve Lieber, it's in the 40s, it's the JSA, there's a murder mystery that's involving some sort of discovery about Nazis, and it features those characters, and you think that sounds like something that I would like? Yep. That's what this is. You should go read it if you didn't already. I think that's the thing. Did you say that's correct?
Yeah, I don't know that I see the Steve Lieber in it as much. I'm trying to remember who the
Really?
artist on
Or
Shield.
I mean, almost like it's actually a little Chris Somney to it, also probably.
Yeah, I almost think like the Kevin Wada She-Hulk. Like, but the cartoon. I mean, it's a style of cartooning that I
Yeah,
think is in
it's
that
like
school.
it's like realistic cartooning in a way, like not real, not photorealistic. It's just like it's like how Chris Somney does it.
I see
Like
the Chris Omni in it more than I see the Steve Lieber.
that's
But
fair. That's fair. I mean, that's if you're gonna have an influence, that's a good one. Actually, a lot of Chris Somney in this. Might be more than Steve Lieber. There's a combination of them there somewhere. Okay, so let's go with we'll start with, were you gonna read it?
yes,
I was, but that's just because I haven't been reading JSA. If I'd known that this is what it was, I probably would have, but I probably wouldn't have known unless someone like Connor was like, you should read that. Are you sticking with it?
yes.
I think I will probably read the next one as well. So let's see if we can get it hooked, get the narrative hooks in me a little more than we've had here, as opposed to like, oh, I love seeing these guys together. That's not really enough to get me all the time. And then finally, can we have a rating? Ratings.
I mean, I'm like a 4.5 on this. Like, I really
Wow.
enjoyed this.
I could easily give it a 4 based on what it is. For some reason, I wasn't like thrilled, like, but it's nothing to do with the book. I just wasn't in the mood or whatever. So I'm just gonna say 4. I'm gonna go 4. 4. I have no complaints. And
No
that's that.
complaints. Raves Josh
That's,
Flanagan. This is gonna be the pull quote on issue 14.
I don't believe I've ever gotten a pull quote, or
I
not
got
in
a
a long time.
pull quote. I got it framed. It's not. It probably should go on my blank wall back there, but
We actually should put some stuff on that wall.
I should. It's been on
Says
my.
the guy who's just puked all over his walls.
It's been on my to-do list, but hasn't
You
manifested
need
yet.
that pill.
Need an hour of productivity.
You need a deadline. All right. So thanks for voting on the patron pick. We talked about Patreon already. You know how that works. But every week we thank a patron who has supported us at the $5 or higher level over at patreon.com/iFanboy by giving them a unique, custom crafted superpower or metahuman ability that's usually related to some problem we have in our life. So you are up. What do we have for?
This has nothing to do with the problem in my life, but
Say the name.
it does have to do with, I think, the specific trials and tribulations of a Bunny VTuber. A Bunny VTuber has their. Sometimes we give a name with the superpower. Their name is the Jackalope, and they can seasonally grow antlers, and then shed them, and then grow them again.
Speaking of Jeff Lemire.
Right? I didn't even think about that. That's great. Yeah, so they are a jackalope bunny where they can sprout antlers.
Wait. Oh, because you're saying it's a bunny. So is in your mind, is this person a big bunny?
A big bunny with the powers of a cervid, aka a member of the deer family, where they can seasonally grow antlers, shed those antlers, and then regrow them as needed.
Okay, as needed. So there's okay. Here's the thing you might know. What is the purpose of the antlers then?
Sex.
That you would need. Just like it's attractive. It's like the big feathers or whatever.
Yeah, it's just.
Or they use. There's a mechanical sex element.
No mechanical sex element. It's we are two big males. We're gonna clash antlers, and the one of us that comes out on top is going to come out on top, so to speak. So there's a theory with moose in particular that moose antlers have evolved as like radar dishes, so they can like actually like funnel sound into their ears. I think that's a little silly, but I remember Julie and I were at a thing where someone was selling moose antlers as like a jewelry, like you could like hang your rings and necklaces and stuff off of the moose antlers. And someone was complaining. There was like some. I say this with love. There was some vegetarian that was complaining that like, oh, this is so cruel, like harvesting moose antlers. And Julie and I had to be like, no, they just fall off every year. And they were like, what? No, that can't be true. And we like pulled up a video. There's like this great video of this like couple in Montana or Alaska where there's
You
this
pulled up
moose
a
in their
video to
yard.
show some random person in a store.
It was like a Ren Fest. It was a Ren Fest. It's a very communal atmosphere, and like this moose just shakes its head. Like this moose just like gives like a shake of its head, and like an entire antler just falls off. And we're like, yeah, they just shed them every year. It's insane that they grow this and
like a loose tooth.
Right, they grow this giant thing, and then just say, "Yep, good for the year. See you later, antler."
I bet
grow that again.
I bet the moose is thrilled when that second one drops off. Just like, oh, it's like getting a haircut. You're just like the back has less pressure on it. I bet it's great.
Yeah.
But that's all.
Bunny VTuber can
like taking a bra off at the end of the day, as I understand it. That's a moment, and I think that's the kind of relief we're talking about with the moose.
But they can grow their own antlers, and they shed them seasonally.
But these are deer antlers for a Bunny VTuber. These are deer.
They're the jackalope. They're a bunny that has manifested the cervid antler growing ability.
Right.
As fictionalized by. So the thing about the jackalope, it was created in Wyoming in I think the 1920s by two taxidermists, Douglas, Wyoming, I believe. They stitched antlers onto a rabbit and started selling it. So the origin of the jackalope is well known. It is not a true cryptid in that it is not a true mythological being. It is a fiction created by taxidermists. But a Bunny VTuber has manifested the power to make it real.
I see. So you're telling me that it's not real?
Correct.
Sorry. Okay, that's great. So I've got 2 emails here.
We got to do the first one. We got to do the first one.
You want to do that first?
I've done a lot of research.
Okay. I think this will be the one then. Yeah. Patrick, I have A and K. I don't know which one it is. Patrick A and or K of North Carolina says, I've been thinking about this question since DCKO #1 came out, and I saw Bruce, Diana, and Clark playing a board game together. This got me thinking, say the 3 of them got together to play a TTRPG, tabletop role-playing game, like Dungeons & Dragons. What type of characters do you think they would play? Also, who would they bring in to run their campaign? It's obvious. The obvious answers would be that Batman would play a rogue, Wonder Woman would play a paladin, and Superman would play the most vanilla possible human fighter. But I think they would want to escape and try something different. I think Bruce would channel his father and play a healer. Diana would play a bard, and then Clark would play a human fighter? So you have something to say about this. You're muted for some reason.
I've played D&D, so I've built characters before, and my most recent D&D character I played was an Aarakocra monk named Grayson, who was raised in the circus, and his parents died, and he was adopted into a monastery themed around bats and trained to fight crime. So like I've got some experience.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, there's like his feather pattern is like green and yellow and red.
Somewhere Jerry Robinson's like, someone's ripping me off again.
So my question to you is, I think there's actually a little bit of nuance here. So I think the obvious answer to this question is you just build you build the Trinity in D&D, right? You just figure out what would Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman be in the world of D&D. But I think the bigger question is, and this is where I want to tap into your brain a little bit, is would Clark, Bruce, and Diana want to play themselves in D&D, or would they want to branch out and play a different kind of character? Like in my mind, you know, if Diana was ever friends with like a minotaur with a guitar, would she want to play a minotaur bard because like she knew someone who was that, and so she's not just trying to play herself, she's trying to actually play a character in the world.
All right, so this brings up a specific question. I do want to go backwards, just real quick. The idea was that that Clark would play a boring vanilla human, a boring vanilla fighter. I don't buy that at all. That's just misunderstanding Superman. Anyway, um, uh, I think I'm guessing that, and this probably exists in video games too, is that a person will tend to either create a character who is a sort of avatar of themselves, or create a character who is not what they think themselves are. Like so, like a really good person would be like, I think I'm going to do a rogue or a thief or something like that. Just to sort of play the other side of it. And for a long time, I've always noticed that when I've talked to some, I remember Mike Norton said he did this too once. But Mike Norton, the comic book artist, friend of the show, is that when I play a video game where you have a choice of what to do, like you can run around the world like Red Dead Redemption or GTA and you can kill everybody or whatever, like I always make the good guy choice.
Right.
I don't do the villain thing. I cannot.
Right. And
I feel
I think
bad.
that's Clark. I think that
Yes.
exemplifies Clark. And I actually just I texted this question to my D&D group just to get their take. And Julie, my wife, is in my D&D group. And Julie's attitude was that Clark probably played D&D in high school. My response to that was Clark didn't have enough friends in high school to play D&D, but he probably
I think it depends on the continuity you're looking at.
Depends on the continuity. But my compromise was he probably created a lot of characters that he never got to play, and he probably created a lot of characters that were like very alien and weird, and like him trying to make sense of himself.
I like that.
I still kind of think that Clark plays a human something because like his desire is to be human.
Mm-hmm.
And the most obvious Superman archetype in D&D is a paladin. They're very much like they're about righteousness. They're about doing good in the world, but they use magic, and Clark hates magic. So I think the joke answer for Clark, and this is like a joke answer in that it's probably real. Clark probably plays a human ranger, maybe a half elf ranger. And every person I've ever met who's played a ranger eventually gets bored with that class and respects, because ranger sounds cool. You think you're going to get to be Aragorn.
Because of the cartoon.
It's actually very boring.
Right.
And it's not a great class. And you get an animal companion, so he could have crypto with him.
Right.
But like he would eventually get bored with it and respec into a paladin. I think
However,
Batman,
maybe he wouldn't get bored of it though. He'd be the guy who didn't. That's how I see it. He's just happy to be there.
And then Batman, I think, or Bruce. I think Bruce. I don't know that Bruce has the imagination to play a character that isn't modeled after his persona. So I feel like Bruce is going to play a rogue of some type. There's so in D&D, like the two main choices you make at the beginning of the game are your race and your class.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you reach level 3, you pick a subclass.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Bruce plays like a gnome or a dwarf rogue, like some sort of race that lives underground, right? Spends a lot of time. And gnomes are tinkerers. They build gadgets, they build trinkets. Like I think that ties into his like sort of utility belt nature. And then you have like a version of a rogue that's called Inquisitive. It's an Inquisitive subclass where it's all about like insight and perception. So you can tell people are lying to you. You can intimidate people. You can question people. There's also a subtype of rogue called a mastermind rogue that like really excels at social interactions. But I also think Batman's an overachiever, and I think he's going to multi-class. And there's a much more obscure class called Artificer that's all about building gadgets for battle. So I feel like Bruce is going to multi-class as a rogue artificer and try to do it all and try to overachieve, which doesn't really work in the world of D&D. But I think he would still try to do it because I think that's just who Bruce is.
I don't think that I don't know any of these things nearly as well as you do. Like I'm not unfamiliar with it. I get it, but I feel like Bruce is going to play some sort of disinformation game. So what you think is happening is not what's happening, and he's going to try to win a game that is unwinnable. And it will have nothing to do with what the other people are doing. So whatever his class is, whatever his stuff is, it will be in service of that thing. He's not playing to pretend to be something else. He's playing to win, to be the smartest person, to be the person who succeeds, because he has to be victorious. And that is not, of course, the point of the game. And that will be where he has the disconnect. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. I did a one shot one time where I told everyone else in the party that I was a wizard, so that like wizards get their magic through learnedness, they get it through books and study. But my character was actually, I can't remember if I was a sorcerer or a warlock. So basically, I'd made an otherworldly pact with a demonic entity, and so my power was coming from this demonic entity. But I was pretending that I was like a scholarly. Like I think that's how Bruce might play it, where like he might tell his party that he's one thing, but he's actually another thing.
And then Wonder Woman, I think, would use her imagination to do whatever.
Yeah. So I can see Wonder Woman, like the most straightforward choice for Wonder Woman is there's this race called Asimir that are like they're mortals, but they've been touched by the gods, so they have like they're elevated in some ways. And then, like, I think if she was going to play herself, she would play an Asimir cleric because, like, I'm thinking about, like, Wonder Woman. She invented the purple ray. Like, she is a healer. She puts people back together.
I think she's going to be like a big orc brute troll thing, just
right.
It'd be
and
fun.
So that was what Julie said, was that like she would just have fun. She would want to pick a race where she wasn't being ogled for her body for a change, and she would want to pick a race where she could have fun. So, like, I think. Yeah, playing as like a bugbear or a Goliath, and maybe like a bard where she's like singing songs and playing an instrument, and I think that's all valid. And I think Wonder Woman, much like my character Grayson, might be based off of someone from DC Comics. I feel like Wonder Woman actually grew up in a fantasy realm, so she might base her character off of someone she actually knew at some point and just have fun with it, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I once knew this Minotaur who played the guitar, and so I'm the Minotaur.
Her empathy that allows her to sort of like occupy those spaces.
Yeah, so I'm the Minotaur with the guitar, right?
All right. Can we do this next one quickly? Otherwise, I will. You know what? I'm doing it. I don't care. I mean, I do care, but whatever. All right. Oh,
I mean, I have my answer. My answer is quick to this one.
The answer is quick. Okay, so this I don't want this up there anymore. Eric P. of Alexandria, Virginia.
Eventually, we should do a media split where you and Connor have to build your characters.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm going through a lightweight existential. I don't pretend well. It's just like I'm not interested in it. I've tried. There's
a way we can make it work.
I know, but I kind of don't care. But I wish I cared. So that's something. I'm going through a lightweight existential dread because that's a good idea for me to explode. A lightweight existential dread because I am going to work without pay because of reasons, says Eric from Alexandria, Virginia. Anyway, I know there are multiple evil organizations in comics. Which one would you be employed by? And would you give it your all, or would you do just enough not to get fired and point the way to the bad guy every time the good guys come through? I've been thinking about this since June 9th, 2011. I never came up with a good answer.
I have my answer.
Are you a Hydra scientist?
No, AIM. I'm more of an AIM guy.
All right, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I meant AIM. That's what I meant.
Well, so here's the thing. I was in San Francisco in September for a conference, and it's a conference of a relatively large organization that I have become friends with the CEO, executive director of this organization. And I was at Isotope talking to James, and I was telling him about how, like, the other night I'd been at Smuggler's Cove, which is a bar near Isotope, with the CEO of this other organization. And James had this moment of saying, like, oh, Ryan, I'm so shocked that you were into a thing, and then within a couple of moves, you ended up having a relationship with the top person at that thing. Hey, I'm on this podcast, iFanboy. I was a fan. I have a tendency to, find a thing that I like, become passionate about it, and then rocket my way to the top, merit be damned. And so not only am I an AM scientist, I'm like COO, CFO. Like I'm gonna ride. Like I'm not just towing the party line. I'm the party. I'm gonna be at the top of AIM.
Like, MODOK.
Yeah. Oh yeah. MODOK and I, we're going out for happy hour.
Like, he makes a lot of points.
Yeah.
So
if you really got to know him, Josh.
I mean, here's the thing. I have a hard time putting myself in a an evil organization situation. But if I'm being really honest with you, and I'm a middle-aged father of two, we're trying to work our ways towards just having something at the end of this. I'm like a middle manager at Roxxon, and it's boring.
Oh, that's gross.
I know, but I don't have any skills. I'm not tough. I'm not going to be in Hydra. I don't believe strongly in anything. Whatever. I gotta have a job. I gotta be. You know what? They were hiring. I'm at Roxxon. I don't know. I don't want to do that, but I'm not gonna go work at Damage Inc. That's too risky. Their funding could be pulled at any point. For just example, I'm having trouble actually thinking of enough. There's AIM. There's Hydra. There's your various thugs.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be a science organization. So there's like Hellfire Club. There's
I feel like the only jobs at the Hellfire Club are like waiters or
Legion of
possibly security.
Doom.
Oh, I was just thinking Marvel. So then you've got Cobra with a K. I'm not over there.
Cobra.
Those are all like snake worshippers.
Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, Hammer.
You have to be Brotherhood of Evil is different. Like
League
I feel
of
like
Assassins.
if you can't just hire a dude, oh, okay, I don't know. Like you have to be a mutant to be in the brother. Like you have to be a pretty high end. I don't know.
Court of
I'm not going to
Owls.
be. Yeah, those people are like of the noble born though.
Not the staff. This is about being on staff.
See, that's just a staff job. Those are just service jobs. I don't think that's any good. I'm not going to be anybody's valet. What like Roxxon must have HR.
I'm sure Roxxon's got a great retirement benefits package. I need to
have
be
some deniability.
I need to be an organization that is as purely about science as possible, but I also I'm not middle management. I'm either undermining it from the bottom or at the top defending it at all costs.
So because I don't ultimately, I'm like, I have to have a day job, I guess. I don't care. So anything that's going to require like a level of fealty
is Checkmate evil, or are they technically good? I feel like you and I could both work at Checkmate.
With the traditional sense of Checkmate, let's call them like a superpower CIA kind of thing. I'm going to go with good. Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, like,
I feel like you and I could be coworkers at Checkmate.
I don't have any skills. Like I'm a funny person who is somewhat likable depending on the circumstance. That's what if my resume was honest, that's what it would say.
See, what I always wonder about is like when the Justice League expands and contracts, right? And so there are times where the Justice League is like the huge Justice League Unlimited, and there's the Watchtower, this space station that's got like staff just like walking around doing stuff. Like who's Justice League HR? That's what I always wonder about.
Well, that's not going to be it's not going to be like Blue Beetle. It's going to be somebody Blue Beetle hired from the Cord Corporation or whatever. I would like to work at a place like that because then I could feel good about what I was doing.
Be on a space station?
Sure. They got a teleporter. They can go back and forth. I think that's pretty rad. How else am I going to get up there?
I don't know.
I'd like to do that. I mean, that's not, he said evil organization though. So, but I'd love to go work like for the Justice League corporate or, whatever it is, the support service for Justice League. I'd be down with that. Then you're doing some good. That's something I can get behind in terms of an ethos.
Yeah, for me, I mean, when I read this question, my immediate answer was just AIM. I want the science organization, and I want to rise to the top as quickly as possible. And there's absolutely no pointing the way to the bad guy. It's defending the bad guy, and trying to enact some good change from within.
I want to know this. No, because there has to be a turning point there where you completely abandon all the moral ground that you held before and convince yourself that what you're doing is right, even though everybody who knows isn't. Because if you're an AIM,
no, we have to have a way to neutralize Vision. He's a ultra powerful synthezoid. We can't just let him run amok. We have to have a safeguard. That's just logical, Josh. You're not being reasonable if you don't think we need to have a way to neutralize this being.
Clearly, you've already accepted the fact that you could have a turn.
You think Wonder Man should just be allowed to operate in Hollywood without any safeguards?
Yeah. I guess I should have had this part up for before, but I didn't. So let's call it. I think that was a
They're
good time.
mutants, Josh.
We would like to hear from you at contact@ifanboy.com. You can write to us there with Mediasplode questions as well. If you put Mediasplode in the subject line, if you send us hundreds of questions, we will listen to 4 of them. No, we our eyes are bigger than our stomachs. That's what I'm saying. We're going to work on that though. 3 weeks ago, there was a Talksplode where I talked to Jason Fabok, the artist of Rook Exodus, of which the 8th issue was out this week. This past week, there was a Mediasplode, which is our year-end mailbag. I was on that show. I'm working on a Talksplode at the moment. I have a couple of irons in fires, and I have more than a couple of no responses. So that's fun. Ryan, why don't you take us through this bit, and then I'll do the next one.
I will. Well, do you want me to do the...
You can find our library.
No, I got it. You can find our library of a whole crapload of shows over at ifanboy.com or wherever podcasts are sold. Never miss a show and find out what the pick of the week is before the show comes out by following us at iFanboy Comics on Instagram and Threads, at ifanboy.com on Blue Sky, and follow us individually at Ryan Haupt on Instagram, that's me, and at J.A. Flanagan on also Instagram. Don't miss former iFanboy writer Jeff Reed's video deep dives into forgotten comic book minutia every Tuesday and Friday across our social media channels and on YouTube.
Here's the question. Have I had this ticker on the entire time?
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, just more information for people. You can consider writing a review or leaving a star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Just if you're new to this and you think this guy who's running things doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing, my name's Josh. That's true. If you're listening, I wouldn't get hired. I would only get hired in an evil organization. That's like, well, this guy's got to go somewhere, and or they, you know what they would do? They would plant me at somewhere where things needed to go well, and then I would destroy it unwittingly from the inside. If you are on Pocket Casts, you will need to be subscribed and have downloaded a few episodes before you can rate them, but you should rate them. If they're high ratings, I should encourage you to be honest, but it doesn't help me if it's not good, but you do what you need to. It's fine. Subscribe to youtube.com/ifanboy, where you can watch the video version of this show as well as our special edition shows. Jeff Reed's comic book deep dives, just recently mentioned in what is sort of a redundant part of the script, if I'm going to be honest. You can find an archive of all our old video shows that we did from 2007 to 2012. Jabus. And finally, join us at the iFanboy After Show exclusively on Patreon, where we will share our thoughts on all of the other books that we read this week and that didn't make the show rundown. That's patreon.com/iFanboy for everyone at $10 a month or higher. That's a tier that they're in there. Thank you for listening to this. Connor, you're probably at the end of this, and you know, I make new mistakes every time. So
but we're always learning. I'm Ryan. Am I actually a member of the League of Evil X's? Am I fighting Scott Pilgrim? Is that what's happening?
I mean, could be. Yes. I'm going to say yes. And I'm Josh. Thanks very much.
See you next week.